Welcome to my level guide. If you have chosen a class, the adventure to 60 can begin, which can take on average 12 days played for someone who already played WoW, but it may take new players much longer. Likewise, experienced player much less. Of course, it does not matter how long you need to 60 as long as you have fun. The way is the goal. Yet you should prepare yourself for such a long journey to not do permanently unnecessary things that would otherwise stop you. With this guide I want to help you to optimize your journey as much as possible and give you all the tips which in my experience I think are the most important to save time. If you should follow every point, you should reach 60 in under 6 days played. So let's start. The first point is the route. A route is the biggest time save ever. Knowing where to go next and not have to travel to the same places several times for quests spares a lot of time. In classic WoW, the quests are not enough in the later areas to go straight into a higher one. If you do not know where to go, you have no choice to grind the level out. I will now give you an example that you can see why a route is really efficient. In Darkshore you can easily level up to level 17. But then you get a few level either no more quests or they are way too hard. You could now travel to Loch Modan, make the best quest there for level 18, get some best in slot gear for several classes, then go to Red Ridge to make level 20. Here you can, if you want, do only the quests that are easy and go fast, which is a pretty big advantage of a route, so you can skip quests that would take too long and you are not dependent on every quest in the area. If you are ready, you can just half back and finish Darkshore until you can just go straight down to Ashenvale. And since you have all flying points in the south now, you can go and do Wetlands after that and then just fly back to Red Ridge, where you can just finish the last quests and then just walk straight into Duskwood. Even if you not want to follow a level guide one-to-one, a list is already useful with all the areas. So you always know where you can go to next, if you no longer have any quests in your current area. That's why I made you one here. Let's go to the add-ons. Questy is definitely an add-on you should have. It shows you all the quests on the map which are available for you and shows then where you have to do it, which is pretty much standard interface meanwhile on retail, but in vanilla it was not like that. You still have to read quests, but that's pretty time consuming, so we use this add-on. Not necessary but nice to have is the add-on Bag-On, what in the end only merges all your bags into one, which makes it easier with the overview. Highly recommended for every hunter or melee class is an attack timer or a hunter bar. This shows you when you have to stand still, so you don't clip your auto shot. Melee classes like warrior will be shown how long they need for the next swing. In Atlas Loot you can check which boss which loot drops, so you can consider whenever it really makes sense to go in an instance or not. Atlas Quest shows you available quest in the instance and where you can get it, which is extremely useful, since you only should go in an instance if you have most of the quests. Otherwise not shown here is the add-on Lazy Pick, which also helps a lot with different things, including selling all grey garbage out of your bag automatically, accepting quests, etc. Everything else you can see for yourself if you need it while leveling. One thing I would advise anyone, if you not already do it, is to keybind every spell you have. You may need a short time to get used to it, but it's really worth the effort. It does not only improve your reaction time and makes you so a better player, it saves you also a lot of work pressing only the keybind instead of using your mouse every time to find spells and press them. Even if I know that some of you have perfected clicking, it's objectively just worse and I can just recommend it to everyone to try it. Also some notorious mistakes you should avoid are backpedaling and keyboard turning. Walking backwards, or call it backpedaling, does not make sense, as you move forward faster than backwards, and you can run sideways, with which you still face to the mob. If all this is new to you, I show you how I do it if I lock on a character the first time. First I changed A and D to strafe left and right, as we can turn with our mouse, and now we got Q and E as keybind. In the advanced option, we set all action bars displayed and then scroll down in keybinds where we can start binding our bars. We can use S since we never want to backpedal again, F, R, C, X, G, and we can bind all the keys with Shift also. Mouse wheel up and down is a nice keybind, mouse shoulder buttons are also, and I also really like Shift Space, it's a pretty big button. You can use it for ice block or bubble. If you took over the mouse wheel keybinds, do not forget to rewrite the camera functions, zoom in and zoom out. I usually have them on numpad plus and minus. Now every time you have a new skill, you can just put it in the binding. Go with the one that feels most intuitive for you. I just showed here a few, there are way more of course. For example, Shift 1, 2, 3, all buttons with control. So if you should run out of keybinds, you can do a lot more. The next point is economy. Depending on what kind of class you play, is it very important to household with your gold. If you are, for example, a warrior, rogue or priest, it's one of the biggest time savings to get the mount as early as possible, so level 40. But if you just buy every spell, you never will reach the 100 gold. Therefore, it's not only important to learn skinning as early as possible, but you should also consider only buying spells which you really need for leveling. Skinning and first aid are for almost all classes required and can be learned directly in the starting areas. Even if you do not keep skinning, it's pretty much worth the gold. Usually you sell until heavy leather everything directly to the vendor, since it's not really worth it to put it in the auction house. So every mob now theoretically drops more silver. It's not always clear for every class which spells you need or not. For example, the warrior got a lot of spells which barely give any damage more. Heroic strike is needed since it gives a lot of damage. Charge only gives slightly more rage, so it's a matter of taste. We don't need mocking blow rank 2 and we also don't need overpower rank 2. Like you can see here, it only gives minor damage, we only want it for the extra hit. We also don't need hamstring since it gives only 5% more slow. Every single purchase can end up depending on whether you can buy your mount with 40 or not. Finally, general tips or micromanagement of individual things. You should always keep moving. Walk while you do a mob as far as possible to the next one or to the next quest. Do every mob you see on your level from point A to B. Grinding is not only necessary in vanilla, it's even very effective, especially under level 40. So remember good grinding spots on your road. There are many spots with opponents that have very low HP, what allows you to do a lot of them fast. Set up all your macros. Some classes need more, some less. If you are a pet class, you should definitely bind pet attack macros to control your pet with keybinds. And various other classes have quality of life macros, you should find them easily. Create a banking jar. You will struggle a lot with full bags, because you want to sell a lot of items in the auction house or use it yourself. So you should create a banking jar. You can do this on both sides in under 2 minutes. As an alliance player, you can create a human and just walk to Stormwind. You can die half the way and rest on the spirit healer. As Horde, you can create an orc or troll and walk the fire totem path, which is a shortcut to Ratchet, where you also have a bank and a mail. Depending on what class you play, you should do mobs at your level or a level below you. They should not to be too low, otherwise you will lose too much XP, but it's worth a lot more to be able to do one after another instead of having to eat after everyone. That was it with my guide, I hope you liked it. If you are new to Classic, you should definitely save several days of playtime with it. If not, I hope you could still make use of one of the other tips. If you liked the video and want to see more, I would be happy about a like and a subscription. See you next time.